Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of Conversations Unplugged. As usual, on this season, I have Daisy Varun as my guest, and we are exploring some really deep topics about life. How can you live a more empowering, whole, complete life, and more importantly, enjoy every moment of your life? So, in our last episode, we discussed a lot of things. If you've not watched it yet, just go back, watch the episode, subscribe to this channel, because then you will also get notifications when we upload a new episode every week. Today, we thought that we'll move into how to break free of certain beliefs and certain conditioning and some language patterns that we have developed over the years. So Daisy, welcome back. Welcome to this episode of Conversations Unplugged. I'm loving talking to you, hearing your perspective, and looking at the world through your eyes. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm feeling honored. I'm feeling honored for someone to give so much importance to my opinions, my perspective, my thought process. I'm one tiny speck in this huge, big ball of the world called Earth with so many people. I'm feeling absolutely honored.
Yeah.
Absolutely honored. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for spending the time week on week to come back, talk to us, and share your perspective. So let's dig deeper into what I just said. So we know you shared so honestly about your childhood and the kind of environment which was around you. When I talked of the environment, more around the people around you who were looking at you with pity and just thinking, oh, poor Daisy. So how did you break free of that chain? We really want to tell our audience what is it that they should do. What are the 2-3 steps that they can take which can make it easy for them to break free of this. I learned from you the double bind of wanting to get out, but they still are stuck.
Yes.
So
Because
just share
they're
your
wanting to
perspective.
get out.
Okay.
You see, if you go by LOA, I mean, there's so much that, I've read so much that I can connect so many dots together. So if you go to LOA, a law of attraction, or as people call it, Louis Hay's way of thinking, or as people call it, so different people take credit for various things. But law of attraction also says that um, if you are wanting, it's in the future, whichever language you want to understand it with, whichever philosophy resonates with you. Okay. The truth is that if you understand the main point, that's important. Whatever stream of thought or school of thought you follow is not important for me. But all of them say the same thing. Want means it's in the future. I want to, which means it's far away. What you mentioned, double bind. Would you like me to explain double bind a
Yes,
little for the
please.
audience?
Yes, please.
Okay, so most of the times when people are working through anything, okay, and I understand why it is important to say that, okay, this is easier said than done, or this requires a lot of effort, or it's honestly a sort of a disclaimer that people want to say that it's not going to happen overnight. There's no magic, there's no abracadabra to it, and I agree with it. There's no abracadabra to it. But at the same time, it's not that difficult also. But that's where the double bind comes in. So I think I don't have self-worth, or I'm going through a certain problem, or, oh, why me? Whatever it is, whatever is the inside story. And now you want to come out of it. But you want to come out of it by telling that story again and again to multiple people. Do you know how many times you are reiterating that story to your own self even before another person hears it? You are hearing your own voice. Okay. So at thought level, you're living it again and again. At emotion level, you're living it again and again. And at a verbal level, at 3 levels, you're reiterating that story again and again. How bad my life has been, how poor my relationships are, how suffering, how tortured I am, and how much I'm suffering in life. The more you tell the story, the more you're harming yourself, which people don't understand. That's the double bind. And that's why when people say it's easier said than done, they get the validation. Oh, you see, even someone like Brené Brown says that it's easier said than done. Now, you and I hold Brené Brown like there, you see,
Yeah.
for sure. If she says it's easier said than done, we have gotten the validation that we needed to remain in that story. See, it's easier said. To do is very difficult. Now, what am I telling my mind? Neuro-linguistic programming. Bring it back in. How are you wiring your neurology? So for me, all of this was broken at a very young age because I must say that all the glory of my life goes to my mother. My life story called for a lot of pity from people. So when people would say that, oh, bechari, bina maa ki bachchi, and my mother would immediately correct them, even tell me that, if anybody calls you bechara, ask them, do they even know the meaning of the word? And that's what neuro-linguistic programming says. In those times when I was born, there was no neuro-linguistic programming. NLP as a field of study came into being in the 80s, I suppose. I was born in the 70s. And that's when my mother said, do you even know what the word bechara means? Do you know if it is a Hindi word or an Urdu word or an Arabic word or a Persian word? Do you even know the root of the word? And that's why my love for the root of the word, for etymology, is so deep. Is so deep. I don't use a word till I know where it originates from, the best I can with the given resources that I have. Most of our knowledge of words is gone. So you will see a lot of people use, "Arey befazul ki baat mat karo." What do you mean befazul? It's fizul ki baat mat karo. Befazul means important. So people just hear and say things without processing things in their head. So for me, that was a huge one, and that's why I say that become mindful of the words you're using, whether you understand it from LOA, whether you understand it from NLP, whether you understand it from your own experience. If you're wanting to come out, if you're in a double bind, you're constantly telling yourself it's easier said than done. Everything is effort. Even having food is effort, na? हाथ से वो निवाला तोड़ना पड़ता है, मुंह में डालना पड़ता है, दांतों से चबाना पड़ता है, गले से सटकना पड़ता है, यहाँ तक तो एफर्ट है. वो 2% of the mind. उसके बाद digestion and excretion is taken care of by the 98% of the mind. हम वो 2% एफर्ट को कहते हैं कि एफर्ट है. That 2% effort is awareness. That 2% effort is mindfulness. Can we do that? And if you become mindful, you will know the words you're using. You will know the double binds you are creating for yourself. You will know. I'm not saying that don't own it up. Own it up. But do you have to project it to the world all the time? How tortured a soul you are, how poorly you've been treated by the world, how bad your life has been. And who are you reiterating it to more and more? Because people will hear the story. For them, it's a story that will stay in their mind for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a day, a week, a month. But that story is going to stay with you for how long? That reiteration of the story. मेरा story आज आप मुझसे सुन रहे हो. आप जितनी देर ये सुनोगे आपको अच्छा लगेगा, थोड़ी देर तक याद रहेगा, फिर आप नेक्स्ट चीज सुन लोगे. बट मैं कहाँ जाऊंगी? मैं तो इस स्टोरी के साथ ग्रेव तक जाने वाली हूँ, क्योंकि ये मेरा लाइफ स्टोरी है ना. So that's the point. That is the double bind that people need to break. Become aware of what you're talking to yourself, not to others. And also when you're talking to others, remember that even before they hear you, you are hearing your own voice. 3 different levels you have reiterated the story. अब फिर तो वही बात घूम फिर के आ गई. Now you are pitying yourself. And now your self-worth is going down because you yourself are pitying yourself. That's the double bind. तो अपना language सही कर लीजिए.
Wow. So what I am understanding is that a language can directly impact what happens for you. Like what you manifest could directly be related to how you are saying what you're saying, because how you're saying is creating your neural patterns. It is creating your emotions. They create your choice, and when you're creating the choices in your life, they lead to the results that you're getting as well. So
isn't that what all of the studies say?
Absolutely.
The modern study, the neuro-linguistic programming. Uska to naam hi hai na, that says that programming. What is the word programming?
Yeah.
It's happening by what? The language, linguistic. And what is it programming? The neurology.
The neuro. Yeah.
Yeah.
So change your language, change your life, huh? Is that true?
Yeah, change your language, change your life. And also, I remember in the last, I think towards closing the last episode, you had mentioned the
non-violent communication.
Yeah, and that is, all is well where we are. And that's another thing that was taught to me very young. Okay, I think I mentioned it in the first episode that, God is everywhere. He's watching over you. He loves you. And so do I. That was one of the diary notes that my mother gave me. And that's what I discovered later, that, a lot of people are talking about the same thing. A lot of people who are of the religious bent of mind, whenever they do a havan, they do a Purnahuti, and there's a shlok that is said at that time: Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Everybody
Yeah.
uses that. Yeah. But they don't know what it means. The wholesomeness of life, the wholeness of life is what it is talking about. The same thing Louise Hay says in her master statement: in the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. That Shlok and Louise Hay, they are saying the same thing. And that's what people need to come back to and understand, that, the more they want to make themselves feel lesser. Why do you want to feel yourself lesser? Just because you got a bad mother-in-law, does that make you any lesser? Just because you got a bad deal in a marriage, does that make you lesser? Just because you got a job which is not giving you, which is not as fulfilling, as inspiring as your constitution asks for, does that make you any lesser? I mean, why should you become lesser for things which don't match up to who you are? Become aware that this is not matching up to who I am, and learn to change it. That's your 2% effort of awareness, of mindfulness, and a conscious decision that I'm going to change it. It's within me to change it. You'll be successful, you'll be unsuccessful, that's a different story.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you
And I
own up the
also,
effort?
sorry, yeah, go ahead, finish
Sorry,
it.
go ahead. Yeah, that's it.
No, yeah, I was just saying that I've also read somewhere, I don't remember where, that every situation, every learning, every challenge that we face, every failure that comes our way is actually taking us towards being that whole, complete ourselves that we are. Like,
Yes.
so that's what is happening in life. So if I may, I may sound a little philosophically here, but who are we? So when you say, why should you feel lesser for what is not manifesting or what is not happening to the standard of who you are, right? So who are we? Like, what's your thought around that?
There are two ways about it. One is the philosophical, spiritual way, and the other is the more practical way. Okay. So spiritual way is a journey. I will not discount it, who you are. I think Ramana Maharshi was the one who brought this meditation in. Who am I? Who am I? He went into a cave just asking, who am I?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting which rishi it is. It is one of our spiritual gurus, our tradition, who went into a cave, and he was so deep in meditation, so deep in samadhi, that his body was half eaten by ants. And when he was discovered in that cave, and he was brought out, and when he woke up, he had whole philosophy to teach. That's the story behind that rishi. Um, who am I is the spiritual. I will not touch that. That's a journey of a lifetime. Even I don't know who am I. Okay, so that's one part. The worldly, practical part of who am I, okay, is to first identify the given identity. You're a woman, you're a man, you're a son, you're a daughter. So whatever is the more tangible aspect of who am I, can I first own that before asking for the bigger who am I? I don't own who am I in the practical world. And because I don't like who am I in the practical world, is now why I want to go find a who am I in the spiritual world. That's an escape mechanism. Most people are in that. I could be judgmental here, but in my experience, most people are not looking for who am I from a place of wholesomeness. They are looking for who am I from a place of lack. And if you're looking for it from a place of lack, don't go outside, no. Come back in and first fill that lack. So who are you depends on every part of you that you are rejecting is who you are. In short, that's who you are. Every part of you that you are rejecting is who you are. जिस दिन उसको इंटीग्रेट कर लिया, who am I का क्वेश्चन खत्म हो जाएगा. Start recognizing every part of you that you are rejecting. That's what you are. This is heavy.
Yeah.
I realize this is heavy.
Yeah.
But this is what it is for me. Everybody has a different experience. May not sit well with them, but this is what it is for me.
So what you're saying is that there are parts of us that we don't accept, we dislike.
Isn't it?
Yeah, there is, and it is so simple to now go back to your childhood and just think, and what did you do when you were told you're a bad boy or a bad girl, and how you have been trying to hide that aspect of yourself in order to always be liked by your parents or your role models or your society or culture, right? And if we go a little bit more deeper, then these are called shadows, from what I have learned and understood. Parts of ourselves that we
Yes.
have disowned.
The new language for this is that.
Yeah, the new language is the parts of us that we have disowned, and we don't want them to come to light, because that's a part of us that has not been accepted by the world and not by us. So integrating all of
Also,
that. Go ahead.
also, when we talk shadows, it's not that, अच्छा, हम तो ऐसे ही हैं, हम तो ऐसे हैं भैया, मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ, मैं ऐसा ही हूँ. It's not about getting aggressive or kind of, justifying your bad behavior. It's about accepting, okay, there is a part of me that gets jealous of people. Okay, yes, there is a part of me that gets jealous of people. Now I try to understand that part. Why do I get jealous of people? And I'm picking that emotion because this was one emotion which I recognized very young. Okay, because I was jealous of people who had a father figure in their a male father figure in their lives, and I did not have. I had three mamas who were always there. But people would always tell me, "Oh, a father is like this." And I always felt there is something amiss in my, okay, oh, he has a father, she has a father, how lucky. And that's where the envy started. And then that's something I recognized so young. And when I recognized it, I said, okay, so let's understand, what does a father bring to somebody's life? And nobody guided me to it. I think it's the higher power that guided me to it. And I give all the credit there. So I was so guided into these questions at a very young age. And that's when I understood, okay, so a father in somebody's life brings A, B, C, D, E things. Okay. Is this missing from my life? No, it's not missing from my life. Do I get A? Yes, I get it from home, from this person. Do I get B? Yes, I get it from home, from that person. So which means father is not a person. Father is a set of traits. Father is a set of responsibilities. Father is a set of emotional reinforcement, which people get usually within the family from one person. That's one set of, one framework. But I'm getting all of it from another framework. Do I have to envy this person? Maybe not. I'm getting all of it. The only thing I'm not getting is one man to call Papa. Can I live with it? And that's a conscious choice you make. That's where you take that decision to not wallow in self-pity. Can I take that choice of not having this one man in my life to call Papa? And what will I gain? What will I lose? I was doing all of this before studying any philosophy, any psychology, because my life had put me in that situation where I had to do this. So I decided that yes, I can live with it. I can live with this one less Sambodhan. It is just a Sambodhan. Now, when I call my mama or mama, he's still giving me that a father would have given. वो मुझे कंधे पे बिठा के मेला घुमाने ले जा रहा है, हाँ ले जा रहा है. वो मुझे स्कूल छोड़ने जा रहा है, हाँ जा रहा है. वो मुझे खाना खिला रहा है. वो मेरी हर नीड को पूरा कर रहा है. डिसिप्लिन कर रहा है. मेरे छोटे मामा ना, we had a stick in a big लाठी डंडा in our house. उसको मामा रोज साफ करके और दरवाजे के पीछे रखते थे और उसका नाम था, it was called समझावन सिंह. So when we used to get naughty or we did not do anything, he would tell us, go bring Mr. समझावन सिंह. वो कभी नहीं कहा जाता था डंडा लेकर आओ, समझावन सिंह लेकर आओ. हम लोग लेकर आते थे, मामा के हाथ में देते थे. मामा वो डंडा जमीन पे फटाक से ऐसे करके रखते थे. उससे कभी शायद मारा नहीं होगा, लेकिन हम लोग उस डंडे से इतना डरते थे ना. So all the discipline happened with Mr. Samjavan Singh. So was I being disciplined the way a father would discipline a child? I was getting all of that. So for me, it was very interesting to learn very early in life that what you decide for yourself is what is going to guide your thought, your emotion, your being, your life. And I started taking ownership of my decisions.
Yeah, how beautifully it ties up to the ownership discussion we had last time. Everything comes back to...
Everything comes together, no? And we can't compartmentalize. That's what I say, don't compartmentalize. The same thing with shadows. So, it's not a justification. Just remember that that's a part of you. You have to work on it. You have to see, you have to, unlayer that part of you draw something from it, and then let it go. And then let it go. So I'm not jealous anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is how we work on. This is the 2% effort that you have to put into yourself.
And
It's
so
not too
that
much.
reminds me, not too much, just the 2%. So it's easy.
It's just 2%.
I'm going to change my vocabulary and
Yes.
say that it's easy. It's just a decision that you have to take to get out of that bind, and
Yes.
also change your language, change your life, integrate the parts of
Integrate.
yourself that you haven't yet even seen, or they are just so hidden away in some cupboard which has never been
हिडन तो
opened.
नहीं है, हम डिनाई करते रहते हैं, अपने
Deny
से अपने
karte
को
hain.
कैसे छुपाओगे? You can't hide from your own self.
Yeah. We keep distracting ourselves
We keep
probably.
distracted.
Yeah. So time to just sit, reflect, introspect. And I am reading a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. And
Yeah, lovely book.
it's a beautiful book. And we were just reading a story yesterday on Bluebeard. And the first para in that story is that we have many parts to us. Each one in our psyche, there are many parts, and each of those parts need space. Each of those parts need love. Each of those parts have some expectations which you need to understand. So just sit with those parts and just ask them, what do you want from me?
Accept.
Right? So it was such a beautiful first para of that story. And now my work and my next steps is to really discover those parts, and just see and be curious to understand them more.
While you're reading that book, also couple it up with the audio book. I think it's
Acha,
on our She
okay.
Reads group. We have
Yeah.
the audio to that book. And when I was reading the book with the audio, the lady who was doing the audio, there are portions where she sings.
Oh,
Those traditional, when she's talking about a grandma who would sing. So she would sing
yeah.
the entire song. She has made it so beautiful. The whole experience of reading the book gets enhanced.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll do that. I haven't heard the audio yet, so I'll now couple it with the audio as well.
You'll love it.
So fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, as we're talking about integrating parts of ourselves and taking ownership and changing our language, I think these are important aspects of really getting out of that bind and taking ownership of who we want to be. I want to explore one more related concept, or something that we've heard so many times. So I've heard that the world is a projection of our inner self, right? Or it's a mirror. It's trying to show you who you are. So the triggers that we have, the circumstances that come up in life, they're pointing it back to you doing the work to get deeper into yourselves. Is that, how do you see that? Have you heard about it, or what's your?
I've heard about it, but I don't buy that philosophy.
Okay.
Because you see, I understand the idea of ownership, but I also understand the idea of interdependencies in the world. If you were to tell a child, okay, let me go back to a 2-year-old Daisy. If you were to tell a child, a 2-year-old Daisy, that you are disowned by your parents because of what is within you, what would you do to that child? See, the outer world is I am disowned by my parents. Does that mean that my inner world is that bad that I need be abandoned? Do you want to tell me that? Do you want me to buy that? I'm not going to
No,
buy that.
right? Yeah. Mm.
So why should I go by other people's philosophy? My understanding is that everything that's happening around you, I don't know if it's a mirror. If it were a mirror, I must be a very bad person inside. But do you think a 2-year-old Daisy even has the understanding to see that she is such a bad person? And you tell me, as an onlooker, do you think a 2-year-old child is? I was not disowned when I was 2 years old. I was disowned the moment I was born, which means the moment I was born, I was so bad a person that I was disowned.
Doesn't make sense, right?
Doesn't make sense to me. So for me, this philosophy is somebody's philosophy, okay, and others have bought it, they have bought it. I don't buy it. That's where my self-worth is. I don't buy things which don't make sense to me. Just because the whole world is talking about it is not why I would buy it. So for me, the outside world is an enabler for me. It's neither a reflection of me nor a projection of me. It is an enabler for me to become what I have to become who I have to become. If I got a strict teacher, is it because an indisciplined child? No, I got a strict teacher so that I can learn to be more disciplined, so that I can learn to be more focused, so that I can learn to be more committed to my work. अगर मेरी फोर्थ स्टैंडर्ड की मैथ्स की जो टीचर थी सरदारनी लंबी सी, आई एम फॉरगेटिंग हर नेम, बट वो पता है हम लोग को टेबल्स कैसे याद कराती थी, हाथ ऐसे रखवा के और चार एकम बोलो नहीं तो अभी पड़ेगी, आपके मुंह से चार नहीं निकला तो फटाक एक पड़ती थी. Now does that mean the child is bad? So the teacher is a mirror of the child and a reflection of the child and a projection of the child. It doesn't make sense to me, Deepa. So I look at the world as enablers. Deepa is an enabler. Why is she talking to me? She is bringing something to my life which was not there in my life till now. Maybe I've done a lot of these podcasts with different people, but the audience that Deepa will take me to perhaps is not what other people took me to, right? So for me, everybody is an enabler. So I tell people, don't buy other people's philosophy if it doesn't resonate with you. For me, it doesn't resonate that the world is a projection of me or a reflection of me. The world is an enabler for me. What as a sponge, what I can absorb from the world around me is the degree to which I will grow, elevate, evolve my own self. I don't have to sit in judgment of the world, and the world does not have to sit in judgment of me. They can choose to do that. I have to see what can I take from the environment around me and become a person I would love more tomorrow. How will I love myself more tomorrow? That's my journey.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. One thing I'm learning from you from all of these conversations is just ask questions. Ask questions to understand what is coming to you. It could be in a book, it could be what someone said, it could be a podcast that you have heard, and see if you feel it or it resonates with what you believe to be, true or not true. Just explore, just ask the right kind of questions, and that has been challenge. Yeah,
we fear challenging. I have developed a module on confidence, which I really, it just happened in a conversation, in a podcast conversation. During the lockdown, a lot of these podcast conversations were happening with a lot of people. And I have so many friends who have really honored me a lot, and they've invited me to their platforms to speak about whatever they wanted me to speak about. And during one of those conversations, this just kind of flowed in. So I then converted it into a module, 8 C's of confidence, and challenge is where the story changes. Challenge is the third C in my model, and that's where the story changes.
So what do you challenge?
The first 2 C's, which is conditioning and conforming.
Okay.
So conditioning is you are told. Conforming is you agree. Girls don't laugh, and you agree. Girls sit, a little, more coily and a little more. You have to be smaller, and you agree. So one is conditioning, which is the instruction being given to you. Second is conforming, me agreeing to that instruction. Challenge, no? Girls don't laugh. Why? I laugh the loudest in my house. That's what I was taught. The moment somebody said girls don't laugh, because you see, I was disowned because of being a girl. So my caretakers made sure that I responded to everything from the other end of the spectrum. Girls don't laugh, laugh. और जोर से हंसो, आवाज आनी चाहिए, हंसो. So that's the upbringing I got. Girls don't play. तो मुझे गुल्ली डंडा खिलाया गया, क्योंकि भैया लड़कियां गुल्ली डंडा नहीं खेलती हैं, इसलिए मोनू मास्टर, ब्लैक मास्टर गुल्ली डंडा खेलेगी. So for me, again, I learned it from my parents. Challenge and see what will happen and own it. So can you challenge any conditioning that you've been given? I remember that song, डोली में बिठाई के कहार लाए मोहे सजना के द्वार. उसमें एक लाइन थी, मर के निकलना था घर से सांवरिया के, जीते जी निकलना पड़ा. And Sharmila Tagore is crying rivers on the screen. And I used to like that song because it is very melodious. I must have been in 7th or 8th standard. I was very happily singing that song one day sitting in the backyard. And my mother came and she said, "Do you know what you're singing?" I said, "Yeah, it's a beautiful song from this movie. And Sharmila Tagore looks so sweet. And she's, usko kitna bura hua uske saath movie mein." I gave her the the entire spiel. Then my mother said, Acha, tell me, where is it written कि मर के निकलना था घर से सांवरिया? Where is it written? Why can't you leave Sanvaria's house while he's still alive? And I was too young to even answer. 7, 8 standard. How old do you think I must have been? 12, 13, 14. But I think that was just the age when my mother found this discussion appropriate to happen, because that's the time when I will eventually, probably in her understanding, will learn about relationships. So the first lesson she gave me was, where is it written? Who made that rule? Why is it important? What about the Samaria? Is there a rule book for the Samaria? Samaria should do this, should do that, should do that. Is he following it? If he's not following it, why should she follow it? I had this conversation with my mom, basis a song that I was humming sitting in the backyard. But then she taught me how to challenge every notion that the world gives you. If you find it correct, follow it. If you don't find it correct, don't follow it. And that's why the fourth C in my model of confidence is choice. So when you challenge, you figure out a choice, and that's where ownership lies. Ownership lies in choices.
Yeah,
Making
and
sense?
absolutely making sense. And now I would love to have an episode where we
With
can
my
talk to
mom,
your mom also.
she is
More
now
than
changed
you.
a lot. Yeah, she has changed
I
a
would,
lot, but yeah.
yeah, because it's inspiring how without all of these, NLPs and all of this knowledge and books, which are now so easily available, or even the
She is
internet,
a
and
master.
he already is a master, and she did
Yeah,
her work so beautifully that
so beautifully.
yeah, we see the product
I
when
am
we see
testimony to that.
exactly, we see your thinking, we see your thought process, which I will not say is difficult, I'll say it's easy, but you need the right environment, you need the right people, and you
You need the
need
right questions to be asked to
questions to be
you,
asked. Yeah,
sometimes at the right time, sometimes even at the wrong time. It's okay. As
yeah,
long as the question that is being asked is impactful, the timing doesn't matter.
yeah.
If it
And when
synchronizes, even better, but
yeah,
still.
yeah. And if others are not asking the questions, go ahead and ask the questions yourself.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Why wait for people to come and tell you something or ask you something? Just keep exploring. I think that's been the insight which is coming up again and again, that dare to question yourself, dare to question your
Dare to.
beliefs, dare to question the conditioning that we've all received, and not become a a victim to all of that, and just keep repeating the stories. It's a story, right, Daisy? These are
It's
all
a story.
stories.
All our stories. The
So we
ones
can
you want to
rewrite the
believe in, the
story.
ones you don't
Yeah.
want to believe in.
Yeah. And we can
I don't
rewrite the
believe the
story.
story.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
don't believe the story of, the world being a projection of me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how will I live? My world has not been so rosy, then I would have zero self-worth, Baba. I don't buy that.
Yeah. And I loved how you changed it to the world is an enabler of who
It's an
I
enabler.
would
Have
love
to
to
become.
become, and I have to become, and how I can fall in love with myself more than I love myself today, so I think that's a very powerful statement to live with, to explore, I would again say, and see if it resonates with you, and you want to just explore, experiment with different things and see what you can stay with. uh, interesting. And so before we wrap up our conversation today, and we'll pick this topic more in our next episode, but uh, as we've been talking about who are we, what are we here for, and I'm hearing from you, we have to become a better version every day, fall in love with ourselves a little bit more. What are your thoughts around having a purpose in life? Because that's a big one that most people are struggling with today. Because again, something that we've heard again and again is we all need a purpose. We are here with a purpose, and we need to discover that purpose. And just the stress of finding that purpose is something that is complicating life. So let's hear what you have to say about that.
This will be so disappointing for all of you, because the world is so sold on to the idea of purpose. I don't believe in purpose. You know, okay, tell me, the cosmos has been here for I don't know how many years. What is the purpose? It is still expanding. What is its purpose? The earth has been rotating, revolving, both revolving and rotating. What is the purpose? The sun has been burning bright for eons. What is the purpose? The purpose for me, the way I look at it, is just to be. A purpose is something you give yourself. The world doesn't care. In Greek mythology, there is this Diogenes kind of a god, who is also called the father of cynicism. Okay, so uska ek story hai, and there are many stories which come in different forms, but I read it in a book of Greek mythology, and therefore I always credit it back to Diogenes. So he was, lying by the beach, enjoying a great afternoon, evening, whatever it is, and the emperor happened to pass by, and and he said, "Why are you wasting your life like that?" He said, "So what should I be doing?" He said, you should work, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that," and the whole story grows. And there are modern corporate versions of the story as well, right? So so then he said, okay, and in the end, the emperor said, "And then you'll be able to enjoy your life." And he said, "So what am I doing now?" So the purpose is now. That's it. I read it when I was in JMC. In our library, there used to be a thick book called Greek mythology, and that's where the story is. If somebody is studying in JMC, they can still go to the library and check if they have that book on Greek mythology, and the story is there. Later, Eckhart Tolle wrote a book called Power of Now that became the rage. Huh?
Yeah.
That's the purpose. Now is the purpose. That's it. And for me, I totally buy that. Now is the purpose. Now I'm talking to Deepa. For this moment, the important thing that's happening in my life is my conversation with Deepa. It's going to be enlightening for me in some ways. It's going to be enriching for Deepa in some ways. That's all there is to it. Do we know how many people will listen to this podcast? We don't know. We are assuming. What if it gets 0 views? What's the purpose of this podcast? We don't know. What if it gets 1 million views? What's the purpose of this podcast? So purpose is a far-fetched thing. The purpose is now. For me, the purpose is now. Beautiful. And my life is simple because of that.
I like how you simplified everything for yourself, and we can just enjoy the moment and just be here.
And as you पता नहीं यार क्या होना है आगे, इसको कोई देखेगा नहीं देखेगा, 10 आदमी देखेंगे, 100 आदमी देखेंगे, 1 million people will watch it. I have no clue.
Yeah. And what's coming to me as you're talking about, when you said that statement कि ये podcast कौन देखेगा, मतलब हो सकता है 0 देखें या हो सकता है it might go to 1 million, right? So then what's coming up for me is a purpose is something that I would love to be, right? This podcast is my thing now, whether people like it, don't like it, there's 0 views, 100 views, whatever. Don't
let it come to you as you're doing something wrong. Yes, feedback is always welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will see how we can make things better for everything, not just this podcast. Feedback is always welcome. Absorb whatever you can from the environment, but your self-worth shouldn't depend on how many people watch this.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Yeah, and enjoy the conversation, get into flow. Like for the audience, we don't script these conversations. You must have seen what is happening. It just flows.
I disappoint you most of the time. My answers are so opposite to the common belief.
No,
I'm so sorry about that.
That's why the season is dedicated to you, because the 2 C's that you said about your 8 C's of confidence, we can explore that in one of the episodes as well.
Sure, but I love to talk about it.
Yeah, so we get a lot of instructions and then we conform, we align to those instructions. And what I love about where these conversations are flowing is it's okay to challenge what people are saying. It's okay to say what 99% of the world is not saying, because that's who I am and that's what aligns with me and aligns with my thinking. So absolutely. That's why you are here, Daisy. So that's why I wanted to talk to you, because it can just, a lot of people can break
tangent. Yes.
So thank you so much. We would love to explore the power of now and what does it mean to, because the natural questions that arise when we talk about the power of now is then why am I planning? What are the goals for? Because in the corporate world, we focus a lot on long-term goals, medium-term goals, short-term goals, the vision of life, and all of that stuff. And then how do I lead a purposeful, satisfying, fulfilling life? So we'll explore all of those things as we move into conversations, because ultimately it will all come together and we will see where that flows and that conversation flows. So thank you so much
for such a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much. And to all our audience, please subscribe on my YouTube channel. You will hear when we upload a episode, and like you see, you will hear some very intriguing ways of thinking about different things. So don't miss our conversations. Thank you so much, Daisy, for being here, and
thank you.
I look forward to talking to you again. Bye.
Bye-bye.